So on the latest episode of the PCT podcast, we are delighted to be joined by Chris Smith. Chris was the winner of the Samsung's famous Winner Pro contract back in 2012. And we're going to discuss that fantastic experience, the fallout, amongst many other things, and where life has taken him now. So let's get started. Good evening, Chris. Thank you for joining us today. How are you, mate?
Good evening, mate. Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Just loving life in lockdown. But yeah, Sunday, ready to go again tomorrow. Loads of fun. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. As you say, plodding on and doing what we can. And we're recording this during what is the third lockdown after the 97 days of January. I want to start off there. You're now obviously a personal trainer. How is that currently affecting your sort of industry with the third lockdown?
Yeah, well, the gyms are shut, obviously, and I can still sort of do online training, and I've been doing Zoom workouts for a few of my clients, trying to keep everybody fit and healthy and keep everybody sane, really, whilst the gyms are closed and we can't go and get that release. But yeah, it's ticking over. It's not what I want to be doing. I mean, the online coaching bit is brilliant. I do like the interaction with the one-to-one clients and pushing them through the paces at the gym as well. So hopefully it's not going to be too much longer until we back open and working one-to-one again.
Fingers crossed, mate. I think everyone in all industries are missing that personal contact and a bit sick of seeing Zoom screens, mate.
I know, mate. It's a nightmare. That's we're on Zoom now.
Yeah, recording on Zoom. We mentioned in the intro about this winner contract competition, which I want to really delve into because it was sort of a one-of-a-kind competition in its inception. But I want to go further back than that. When was it that you first got involved in football, Chris? What was it that got you going?
I think my earliest memories are like I used to play football in the street all the time. My dad always used to say, I always had a ball when I was like a toddler and stuff. And my uncle had come round and always used to say, he's got a ball for an eye, auntie. Like you say it the wrong way around all the time as a joke. But yeah, as far as I can remember, I just used to play football in the house, smashing all the ornaments. Used to play football in the streets constantly. Used to have. It was like our street, we had like this cul-de-sac and there was like 10 kids in the street, so it was like 5v5 every week, change the teams up. It was brilliant. But yeah, that was one of the earliest memories I've got. And then as I sort of got a little bit older, I ended up going to sort of lads and dads football. I remember the first time I ever went, I was like really nervous. I got like joggers on, stood there like didn't dare get like stuck in. And then the second week, I don't know what it was. I just sort of just absolutely went for it. Started skinning everybody, scored all the goals. Like just something switched, and I was off. Weird.
So at this point, as I say, can you remember what age you were at this point? Where
I think it was about 7, something like that, 6, 7.
Okay. And then obviously you've gone from this shy person in your first session who wasn't sort of not saying willing to get involved, but a bit shy to get involved, and then all of a sudden, getting amongst the goals, really doing well. Were you aware of any sort of talk or interest from pro clubs or scouts at the time?
Not necessarily at that stage. It was only when, who was I playing for? I was playing for, I think it was a little bit older than, probably about 8 or 9. I was playing for Wolstanton, and we had a coach called Bill Bradley who used to, I can't remember if he used to play for Everton or he was definitely a coach for Everton at the time, but I can't remember if he used to have something to do with playing for them years ago. And he was coaching us, and we had like a little decent team. And he just asked us if he'd coached us a few times, watched us in a few games, and asked us if we wanted to go and have a little training session with him. Went along, done really well. We ended up, the first game we played actually was against the year above. I think we got spanked about 8-0, and I remember turning up thinking, "Oh, I can't believe this. We can have a game for Everton." And then we were playing them, and then literally just got absolutely turned over. Thinking like I'm nowhere near this level yet, but yeah, that was the first initial sort of interest I had from a pro club.
So something I want to just tap into there. You mentioned like the 5v5 in the street, and obviously you've been exposed straight away to that level of football where as you mentioned there, you got turned over. Did that impact you in any way as a young player? You know, being on the end of a drubbing, or was it just a case of, oh well, next game?
Yeah, no, it's not. Do you know what? I think I used to take the beatings in the street harder if we ever lost in the street, especially because we were playing against the older kids. I used to desperately want to win, especially when I was younger. I think I almost grew out of that as I've got older. Not that I still want to win, but like I used to, like, if our team was losing, I couldn't breathe. I was, and I used to like lose my head a little bit. But if we ever lost for like when we lost that game, it was just a learning curve basically. We weren't expected to win anyway, so it was one of them where it was just like it doesn't matter.
So what age was it then that the real interest came? And as I say, were you aware of scouts turning up or being invited into a club? Was it something that you're aware of, or were you kept away from that by your dad?
No, so I think it's obviously when we used to play we had a little spell at Everton. That was one of the times when I absolutely loved football. Played day in, day out. Like I used to train on my own if people didn't want to come out and play, or we were playing games in the street, playing for the school, playing for like a Sunday side. And it was probably from then where I just absolutely adored it. And then I remember, and I think we was playing for Cheadle United or whatever we called it at the time. And that's when Stoke sort of scouted us. And they offered me an initial, I think it was a 6-week trial, and I was there for about 4 or 5 months. Really? We ended up playing and on trial, never ended up signing. So they kept on stringing me along. It might have been longer, I can't remember actually. I'd have to clarify that with my dad. But I was there for a long period of time, and but yeah, a lot of the dads were saying, "Oh, they've got to sign him," and never ended up getting signed. We played like teams who we'd lost the year before, and I remember like playing in those games, scoring, setting goals up, and we beat Notts Forest 4-1, and like got man of the match, come off, felt brilliant. I think I was only about 11 or 12, but that was one of my experiences with Stoke. And then I think it was about a month after that, or not long after that, he just said like, "We're not going to keep you on," and they ended up getting rid of me. I was like, okay. Wicked. Ended up going back playing for Cheadle. After 3 or 4 weeks of playing for them, a different Stoke scout come and approached me and asked me if I wanted to go on trial at Stoke, and I walked off. I didn't even speak to him. I think I was still a bit bitter, but the guy ended up speaking to my dad and asked why, like, what was going on, and just said basically he's just been released from Stoke. He was like, "Oh, okay, does he want another trial?" He was like, "I don't think so." Never ended up going back. I think I had a bit of a bee in my bonnet about that kind of thing, but I was just wanted to play football, do you know what I mean? So I didn't want to get messed around. So yeah.
So I imagine at that point you've either got a point to prove or it can sort of take away your love from the game. Am I right in saying that Everton came back with interest within the academy?
No, we didn't. I can't remember exactly what happened. Oh, that was it, yeah. When we were at Everton, Stoke complained that Everton was scouting outside of their zone at the time. And basically, I think that's why we ended up sort of like leaving. We had like 3 or 4 lads from Stoke, and they ended up sort of leaving. And I think that's how we transitioned into playing for Cheadle, and then Stoke come along. And then obviously we didn't even get signed for Stoke, so it's a strange one.
I mean, so at this point, you're thinking you've been at a local club. You know, you've been at Everton within their, you know, it might have been their development or whatever it was at the time. Were you looking at a career in football? Now just a case of playing for enjoyment?
You know, it was a weird one. Like as a kid, you always dream of like being a footballer. You know, you don't dream of playing for, you know, at the time like lower league clubs, you dream of, you know, playing for like Man United. And I remember reading a thing about Paul Scholes getting signed by Man United when he was about 14. And I remember thinking, like, at the time, I think it was like 12, 13, coming up to 14. I remember thinking about, I need to like get signed by somebody. I thought, like, if I don't get signed by 14, then that's it. But these are just the thoughts you have as a kid. Obviously, none of that's true. But obviously I wanted to be a footballer, but I never sort of. I actually thought it would happen. I thought it would have happened, like probably sooner or whatever, or would have made a full career out of it. But obviously that didn't happen in the end. But yeah, at that time as well, you're just there to enjoy it as much as you can. As well as obviously you want to do that, but that's so far in the future. You're just enjoying the here and now.
So then, time at college and over at university, you studying sports coaching and development and playing for a local side. It's still a decent level within Stone Dominoes. Again, at this point now, you're playing semi-pro football. Is there any slight chance that you think you can still get signed, or was it, look, let's concentrate on a career?
Well, we did a course at college, and we. I don't know if you know him, Nige Dealey. He was our coach on our course. He was our football coach, and basically we had like an under-19s conference youth team, and we had for 3 years I was at college. We had a class squad. We had like class players who were a bit older, some younger ones coming through. We had a really good team. The first year we played against Man City in pre-season, and we ended up losing 5-4. And but we absolutely we played amazing the first half, and I think we were in the lead in the end. And they brought on some 14-year-old whiz kid who was absolutely unbelievable, and started pulling strings. And he set a couple up, and within 2 minutes we went from like 4-3 up to 5-4 down. And yeah, but we had like a really good team. And on the third year we ended up winning sort of like the National Cup with everybody. At Russian and Diamonds, the final was, we won 2-1. So that was a great experience. But again, even at that age, you probably don't think you're going to make it then, but you do just still enjoy football. And I was playing for Kidsgrove at the time, and what was it, Biddulph? Anyway, we were still playing Saturday football as well. And you just want to play as high as you want to enjoy it, and you want to play as high as you can. So didn't think it was going to happen, but you were still just trying to play at a higher level, possibly earn some good money. You can get some money at Kidsgrove, you get money obviously higher up you go. So the idea was to just try and keep progressing if possible.
So then in June 2011, Samsung launched an initiative with Swindon Town to win a professional contract. How did you hear about this, and were you apprehensive about applying for it at the time?
So this is a weird story. So my dad actually said, "Have you seen this thing? Samsung winning a pro contract?" And I was like, "No." He says, "Oh, you should apply for it." And I was like, "Oh, I don't see the point," sort of thing. And he sent me the invitation. I never ended up applying for it. He had filled out the form for me. Okay. And then they got an email saying, "You've got a trial in Leeds on this what's it day," and I'm like looking at this email like, what the hell, what's this? And he said, "Samsung win a pro." My dad, and I told my dad, he's like, yeah, filled it out for you. Anyway, so I ended up going up. I thought, well, then why not? I'll be up for a trial. Went all the way up to Leeds, nearly got lost on the way. Sat nav died, asking everyone for directions. No one knew where it was in Leeds. That was funny. Goals centre in Leeds. No one knew where it was. The invisible place. So ended up doing the trial, and ended up smashing it. Felt really confident after the trial. So yeah.
So what was the trial process? How many trial sessions were there? There was over 5,000 applicants. So even at this point, are you thinking, just go for a laugh, see what's going on, or was there a chance?
To be honest, mate, like I felt like, I don't know what it was. I felt confident from day one. Like I turned up. The trial went really well. We did some like agility drills, some passing drills, and we had like a small five-a-side game just to see who was sort of like, who could kick a ball, who could run, who could tackle, just the basic stuff. And I felt really confident on the day. And I think after then there was an 11-a-side game. We got put straight into an 11-a-side game. And there was 3 games, and the final game was at Swindon Town against their development team, which had a few older pros in, and then a few of the younger under 18s. But yeah, I remember every game just feeling super pumped, super energised, super confident, and I played really well in all the games. And I remember the final game was against Swindon, and I played really well. And I remember coming off Di Canio was there as well, and I remember thinking, right, now's the time. If I'm ever going to make it, this is it. Like, if I'm ever going to get a chance, I'm never going to get a better chance than this. Played really well in the final, and then there was 4 people who got offered a chance to go down to Swindon and have a trial with all the first team. And I spoke to the other 3 lads, and you size each other up a little bit. One was playing like 2 or 3 leagues above me. One had played for like England schoolboys. One had been at like Rochdale or somewhere all his life. And I was thinking, that's how it. And ended up playing really well in the training games down at Swindon. Sessions with Di Canio just gave 110%. Felt good in the sessions. I felt like I was doing way better than the others. Felt like the game with better players suited me more than playing with players who, I felt like hadn't went at quite at that level. I felt like it was easier for me to play at that level. Ended up getting the nod.
I was just saying, some 6 months later, and we'll be putting the footage on this if it's okay. Is that you were sat waiting with one other participant, waiting for that call. And those who will see it will see the absolute shock in your face when Paolo rings and tells you that you've made it. And
Football and Swindon Town manager Paolo Di Canio has selected a 21-year-old amateur in a competition to win a 1-year contract with the Robins. Chris Smith from Stoke was among 5,000 talented youngsters who tried out for a chance to play with the professionals. 4 of them were chosen to train with the first team, and the young defender was the final choice.
In a massive club like Swindon Town, it can be even more exciting, for a young player like him. So I'm very happy, and obviously in this moment I feel happy.
Over the past so many months, I've been working hard and putting in the effort, and and thankfully it has actually paid off. So I can't believe it.
And you can find out the whole story and how Paolo really broke the news to Chris Smith on Late Kickoff tonight here on BBC One at 11:05.
It is a particularly heartwarming start to tonight's show. If you are an aspiring football player and you haven't been spotted by the tender age of 16, then it's usually a sad fact to life that you're not going to make it. However, Swindon recently offered undiscovered stars out there the chance to win a pro contract with them. 5,000 hopefuls started this unique competition, but after months of trials and tribulations, only a handful were left in the race for a chance to join Paolo Di Canio's team. With what happened next to them, here's Andy Stegel.
At Swindon's version of boot camp, just 11 were still standing in a game against Swindon's current young pros, with Paolo and his staff testing mental, physical and technical skills to the max, because Di Canio had to reduce 11 to just 4. The lucky 4 had earned the right to train with the Swindon first team squad, but no judges' houses for this quartet. It's a snow-covered training facility instead, and the chance to see how demanding Di Canio is as a coach. And it's no use just learning the moves, his team have to live them.
I see people that fight or have a desire and belief for doing something, they go straight away in my heart,
Now 4 becomes 2. But whatever sparks of inspiration, of technical skill, of passion for the game that they've demonstrated out here at the county ground has to be translated right now in there. A phone call coming from Paolo Di Canio. But who is it? Right back Chris Smith, a 21-year-old student from Stoke, or 19-year-old Paul Mooney, the Liverpool centre-half?
Nothing just yet. I'm going to find out in the next hour or so.
I don't normally get nervous with things like this, but I think it's just the waiting around all day.
So I just want to find out, to be fair. It's just like it's like a band-aid. Just want to rip it off, be quick and fast.
Hello.
Paul?
Yep.
Hi, this is Paolo Di Canio.
It's not the news Paul wants to hear. Now it's Chris's turn.
Hello.
Hello, this is Paolo Di Canio from Swindon.
Hello, Paolo. Are you okay?
Your new manager. How do you feel?
Oh my God. Yes.
You are my choice.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
How do you feel?
I'm alright, Gaffer. Are you?
I'm very happy.
Oh my God.
Did you train the last few days? Otherwise I kick your bottom straight away.
I have, yeah.
Chris, you deserve this opportunity because you have a quality. Obviously, I expect from you the same desire, the same anger, because you're still young, you can improve a lot. I think that you can stay with us. You deserve it. You are my choice, okay?
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you very much. Brilliant. See you later.
Enjoy with your family. Hey, celebrate enough. Only sparkling water and then see you here, okay?
Yeah, thank you very much. See you later.
Ciao, Chris. Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao. Oh my God.
You know, beating over 5,500 applicants. How did that feel, earning yourself a 12-month deal under such an enigma like Paolo Di Canio?
Yeah, it was, you know, in one sense, you're like, I've got Paolo Di Canio on the phone here, like, what's going on? And then in the next sense, you're thinking, like, all right, it's a dream come true. I've just turned, like, professional for the first time. And then in the next thought, I'm thinking, right, I need to sort my flipping stuff out here. I need to get fit. Like, I can't, this is just step one. Like, the hardest bit's yet to come. But I enjoyed it for 5 minutes, and then it was time to sort of like get focused. But yeah, honestly, I didn't think it was going to happen. Not that I didn't think it was going to happen, because I did feel confident. But when it actually did happen, it's like, well, I can't believe this is it. But yeah, that was me. That was me initial thought, and it was amazing.
So what was the process then from being or having that phone call with Paolo? How long was it before you actually joined up with the squad? And you know, how did you think about having to move away from home, somewhere you've spent the majority of your young life so far?
I think it wasn't that long after. I think it was like a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, and then it was sort of like, it might not have even been that long. It might have been 2 weeks. It was like, go down on this day, you move into your digs. I just remember thinking, like, we had a game on for the team I was playing for at the time. We had a game on the Saturday, and they were like, do you want to play? And I was like, there's no fucking chance I'm playing. It's like, no chance that if I get snapped or injured, like, they will go mental. And yeah, but it was just sort of, I just remember thinking, like, I need to like get fit again, and like couldn't believe it. But yeah, it was a couple of weeks, moved down, and moving away from home, to be honest, was more excitement than nervousness. I remember actually, I was supposed to be sorting out my dissertation at uni, and they just slapped all this work on us. And I remember thinking, God, I hope they sign me, because I can't be bothered to do all this. And then I got signed. So I never ended up doing my dissertation either, which, you know, I was probably doing just not for the sake of it, but I didn't really like it.
How did you feel at this point then, Chris? You've gone from, you know, probably playing within a bubble as such with your mates, being at home, going to uni, and all of a sudden you're thrust from sort of the depths and the shadows into national coverage, because this was a pretty big deal, if I remember rightly. And you know,
yeah,
being the winner from, as I mentioned before, 5,000 applicants. Did your life change in any way, and how did you cope with the pressure of that national coverage?
No, not really. I mean, it wasn't. You speak to a few people, like give you a ring or whatever. Like, you get a few messages off your mates saying you're shit, and you know, it is like no support. Glad you're leaving. Yeah, sorry for swearing. But yeah, so got a few sort of messages, but other than that, like, you have a few sort of you know, like phone calls off papers or whatever. But at the end of the day, I was like Chris Smith from Stoke-on-Trent. I was like, still nobody. Like I haven't made jack, and do you know what I mean? I haven't made jack yet, so it's not like the life wasn't. It was turned upside down in terms of my circumstances had changed, and the things I was going to be doing had changed. But to me, I would still got a lot to prove and wanted to do well. So it was just more of focusing on what I needed to do, and then packing all my stuff, and then obviously moving down.
You mentioned there you got a few non-supportive messages from teammates. How did that feel in contrast then to Paolo Di Canio stating that as a right back you had the fantastic quality and were very good on the ball, and that's quite high praise from what is a footballing legend.
Yeah, I know. I've saved it on my phone somewhere. Like I show everybody. Like this is what he said about me. No. Obviously, that's it was absolutely amazing to hear that. Like, because you want to hear those things, but whether you actually get them all the time. Some managers are against praise, aren't they? And further down the line, like found out Canio was a lot more sort of brutal. But obviously the praise is nice. The messages from your mates is a bit of banter, and that's welcomed as well. Keeps your feet firmly on the ground. So yeah, it was all good fun.
How did your first session go then? Talk to us about that. You've moved down. You're introduced to your new squad and your teammates. Was there a welcoming tackle from any of the senior pros, or were they quite welcoming?
I think at the first session, I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh yeah, so that was it. The first session it was like snowing and icy, and the grounds were absolutely rock hard. So we were training on this 3G pitch, and I turned up. Obviously, I got like all my old kit or whatever, and they were like, "Yeah, we've got your old kit here." And they were like, "Right, all the lads have got snoods on," and they were like, "I just got my shorts." I was like, "Oh, fuck it, I'm hard. I'll be all right." And other lads like double up to the nines, like all the kit on, like hats on, scarves, snoods, the lot, hot water bottles. They didn't have that what it was, but we ended up walking down to the pitches, and we stood there for about 45 minutes while Paolo was going mental at everybody, like trying to get everybody geared up, and it was absolutely freezing. We were like shivering, like, so I was thinking that's why they all put like 2 pairs of joggers on, like. But we were there for 45 minutes, just standing there on the pitch whilst he was going mad, and. I just remember the first session. Every session was intense. Like it was the most intense training I've ever had, and it was just sort of 100%. Like boom, like fizz the ball and absolutely wrap it into you. If your touch isn't on, you're getting yelled at, and it was an eye opener. I just remember thinking like these lads are on another level here. But yeah, it was good.
Bit of a baptism of fire then from playing at local leagues in Staffordshire. What did the average week look like for you then, Chris, in terms of like your build up to games and your sessions?
So for me, obviously, like the first experience as being a pro, like that was the only experience for me as being a pro. So my experience was we trained 7 days a week with 1 or 2 games in there. Wow. And according to the other lads, other teams normally had 1 or 2 days off a week. It was normally Wednesday or Sunday. We trained every day of the week. Wow. So if you weren't playing on the Tuesday night, you trained. So you're either in the gym training, doing fitness, or you were, depending how big your squad was, you were either training, because we didn't have like a development team either. So, which was a bit of a shame. I think that killed me a little bit, because that would have been a good sort of building platform for me. And we trained every day. We did sort of possession, we did shape work every single day, attackers v defenders, phases of play, practice corners, different shadow play. We did everything, like just so well drilled. Everyone knew the position. Like if anybody from centre mid had to drop into defence, they knew the positions. Like everybody knew everyone's position. It was that well drilled. Wow. And it was no surprise like how well the team did in the end. Like it was like most games you could see it was like training. Yeah. Like just how we positioned, where we moved as a unit. It was brilliant. It was just amazing.
So having signed in the February, was there any inclination when you were going to get your debut and when you were going to make that start, or was it just a case of your worth again?
Do you know what? Like, it was a weird one because I was surprised. Like, once I learned who the players were and the team and everything, I was surprised they ended up getting signed because they got the captain was the right back, and he had me as a right back. And the captain was right back, Paul Caddis, and he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He ran the show from right back. Like, he was amazing. Like, and the more I learnt about him, he made his debut when he was 16 for Celtic against Barcelona in the Champions League against Ronaldinho.
Oh wow!
Right, and they were like, "Yeah, go and play against the world's best players." Oh, okay. And he was on penalties as well. So the right back was on penalties, and he never missed. Scored them all. And he was like, obviously, he was brilliant. He was one of the gaffer's favourite. And there was another young lad, same age as me, Nath Thompson, who was on the bench. He was a right back, and eventually, once sort of things happened with Caddis, and Nath ended up getting a shout, and he was absolutely brilliant as well. Like, grabbed the opportunity with both hands, went on to be captain at Portsmouth. Like looking at that, and he'd been at the club from 10 to 24 or whatever it was. Okay. So when I was looking at the players in front of me, I'm thinking, I've got a lot to do here. Like, if I'm going to get in there, I need to be something else. And at the time, I remember thinking, like, I'm not at that level yet. Like, I felt like I could have been fitter, could have been match fit for starters, which I never really gained because it's as intense as the training was. It's not the same as being match fit. So yeah, I had a lot to do to in order to move them, but it was always going to be tough. Try to move the captain out of the way. And so I had a couple of chances on the bench, and I was hoping that, like, for whatever reason, he might get a dead leg and have to come off, and then they chuck me on. Obviously, you don't want him to get injured, but you want him to get a little knock and come off, mate. Or they were 5-0 up, 6-0 up, cruising. You go, Chris, go on. But yeah, that never happened until sort of like the last game of the season.
I would say you made your debut in a 0-0 draw against Bradford. Talk to us about then the lead up to that debut. Was there any words of wisdom from Paolo, or was it just a case another baptism of fire in a league game? Yeah,
baptism of fire, I'm afraid, mate. There was no sort of nod. You're gonna get your chance. There was nothing like that. I ended up starting on the bench, to be fair, and he ended up playing the other lad, Nath, to begin with. And fortunately for me, he got injured after about 20 minutes. Like, he got a big knock and he had to go off, and I ended up playing 70 minutes. And I remember warming up. He was like, go warm up. So I was running up and down, like, doing my fast feet. He's going, faster. I was like sprinting up and down as fast as I could. He was like, faster. He's going, Claudio, he's not going fast enough. I was literally going full pace as I was going as fast as I could. And then, yeah, I remember, like, he was just like, get strapped up. Because at the time, like, you got this other right back on, you're thinking, I'm not even going to get a chance here. Or I might get 15 minutes at the end. And, yeah, I got my kit on. It's like, I had a quick look around the stadium thinking, God, there's a lot of people here. Let's go and smash this. Walked on, absolutely buzzed off it. First tackle, first ball up in the air, gone up to compete with this lad who's 6'6". Like, I'm 5'8". I sort of just dropped off. I went up for it. I gave him a nudge, to be fair. I didn't win the ball. He ended up hitting his shoulder. Bounced nice for me. First touch, just adrenaline. Everything's happening all at once. Nice touch out to Matt Ritchie. I thought, sound, let's go. He's brilliant.
And then with the nerves slightly calmed after that?
Yeah. Oh, there was no sort of tactics chat before we went on. The only thing he said is clip the channels. He said, first touch, don't pass it, clip the channels, just to, like, I'm guessing it's just to sort of ease myself in. Yeah. So the first time the ball come down, he ended up laying it 5 yards. So I'm sure he was losing his head at that instead of just twatting it up the field. But yeah, I think he just wanted me to sort of kick the ball, get me settled, and then go from there.
I'm sure it's one question that the listeners will probably want to know. How was Paolo on a day-to-day basis? Is he as fiery and as short-tempered as the media portray?
Yeah, probably worse. Yeah, that was like 20% of what you saw. He was just like a ball of energy. He was so passionate about everything. Like, he knew all the information about the opposite team who we were going to be playing, their opponents. He was like, knew the height and centimetres, the weight, how fast they were, how many goals he'd scored, and then he obviously knew our strengths. He was every day, like, there was a spell when we were, I think it was in February, we had this spell where it was just like snowing all the time, grounds were like rock hard. Every single day, the lads, after the first session, I ended up coming down and I didn't have a snood on, but I got the jackets on, and I remember walking down to the pitches at Liddington, and he'd had his weight in there for about 30 minutes before he even walked down. We were all like jumping up and down, freezing. Where is he, like? And he bowls down in these tiny little shorts, like, he's got these little socks on, he's got his jacket undone, bowls down, and he just rollicks us for like 45 minutes. We'd been standing outside for about an hour in this freezing cold, and we're just looking around, not paying attention, because we're like absolutely dithering. And he's just like going half a lever on everybody, and just, yeah, he was just passionate every single day, like, well drilled, knew everything, what we wanted to work on, how we were going to do it. But yeah, there was so many stories. Ripped a TV off the wall and stamped on it. Yeah, oh god, yeah. We're watching, I think we'd lost 2-0 to Crewe away, and we come back and we're watching clips on the Sunday, and it was about 6 or 7 weeks to go. We were top. We were flying at the time. We were battering everybody. It was a shock to us, really. Like, they turned us over 2-0. Obviously, I mean, I didn't play, but he went he had us all in. He went absolutely mental. He was showing the clips. He's banging the TV. The TV's coming up with all marks on. He's effing and blind. He's screaming at everyone. Then just rips the TV off and he's stamping on it. It's like, going absolutely mental. Told us all go off. Every day was brilliant, mate. Like, you could tell a story about every day. Like, it was so good. Yeah.
Obviously, the season came to an end after that result. Am I right in saying that you went out to Northampton on loan, the following season? How did that feel, being away from home and then shipped out on loan to somewhere that was, again, away from your second home?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to stay. Obviously, I wanted to stay at Swindon because I wanted to I felt like Di Canio was sort of, he said to me, basically, when suggested about going out on loan, he was like, no. He's like, you go out on loan, you pick up bad habits, you stay here with us. But the guy I was working with at the time and my agent, and they sort of thought it'd be better for my development if I went off, tried to pick up some game time or whatever it was. Maybe it was A.D. Boothroyd, he was the manager actually at Northampton. Maybe, maybe you might like me or might try me, such and such or whatever. And I went to Northampton. Again, I was staying in a hotel, which was loads of fun. Didn't really have any sort of food there. The best food I had was this sort of little crappy calf thing. It wasn't even like bread. It was all sort of like deep fat fried everything. So couldn't eat that. I had to like go shopping every single day and just have like sandwiches and pasta pots. But yeah, I went to Northampton. I thought this was a good chance to impress, and I remember training really well. And they'd had a few problems with the right back at the time, and he'd ended up bringing this other young lad in who was playing well, and they ended up going on like a really good run. That I was only there. I think I was there for like a 5-week loan or something like that to try and get a few games. In the first 2 weeks I was there, they had like 2 weeks worth of games. They had 4 or 5 games within about 20 days. And then they had like a 10-day period without any. And within the 2 weeks, they started smashing everybody. Like, everyone was like playing amazing. We were like battering teams, 3 and 4-0, home and away. I was like, oh my God. So I was on the bench again, didn't get my chance. And then the 10 days that we were off, like where we didn't have a game, we were training on this 3G and ended up pulling my groin, like slipping on the old 3G, and my groin went, and I was out for like 2 weeks. And they were still smashing everybody. And by the end of my loan, come come up, I hadn't touched the ball again. So I ended up going back to Swindon, not played, and just recovered from a groin injury. So yeah, that was decent.
What's going through your mind at that point then, Chris? Obviously, you've gone out on loan to get game time. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. And again, you've gone from non-league side to being out on loan at professional clubs. What's going through your mind?
Do you know what? Actually, you've just reminded me. We had a game away. I can't remember who we were playing. We played away, and AD Buford messaged me and said, "Listen, you're starting tomorrow." And I was like, brilliant, absolutely buzzing. And they'd had like 4 or 5 people with food poisoning in the club, or not food poisoning, or a bug, and people were throwing up. And that night, I ended up throwing up myself, and I thought, I can't go. Like, I ended up messaging him saying, I've just thrown up. Like, I mean, I said, I still want to come.
Yeah.
I said, but obviously I don't want to give all the other players this bug or whatever, and I didn't want to do myself. I remember ringing my dad, being like, what shall I do? Shall I just go and just pretend like I'm all right? And he was like, you don't want to go and do yourself a disservice by playing shit because you've been ill. And I thought, he's probably right. So I never ended up playing, ended up staying in a hotel all night feeling horrendous. And yeah, didn't end up playing. But yeah, in terms of being out at other clubs, it was great experience, met some great players. Clark Carlisle, absolute flipping gent. Loads of other players at Northampton were wicked. Akinfenwa, big Akinfenwa, he was there. Mustard, playing and training with him, you should get the ball off keeper right back, he'd be up the top, he'd just whip the ball in, he'd move everybody out of the way, head it in. I thought, oh God, this is easy. I'm glad he's on my team. But yeah.
I mean, so are you thinking, I'm just thinking in terms of this injury and obviously the illness, are you thinking now, where am I going to get game time? And
yeah.
How do you motivate yourself to continue to strive to perform at that point?
At the time, it was just sort of like, I felt like it was just not going to happen for me. Like things weren't going my way. And I got into sort of, a bit of a negative mindset. Like you start beating yourself up. You start obviously like putting yourself down, thinking like, oh, I could have done, like overthinking everything, like overthinking passes. Like, should I have passed it that safe 10-yard pass, or should I have tried something fancy? Just, instead of just playing the natural game, you think, and then the other one was, right, I need to impress. I need to do something really good. So you try to do something and then you get a bollocking off the lads, like, just play it simple. And you're like, can't win.
Yeah.
So, but it comes down to decision making. But just felt like it wasn't going my way at that time.
So then, in May 2013, towards the end of your contract and ultimately matters out of your hand, the club needed to reduce their wage bill, and unfortunately, not offered a new deal with the new manager, Kevin McDonald.
Yeah.
It was a shame that some good players were to be released. So, so what now? Was the exit trials arranged? Did your agent look to get you any clubs, or was it a case of being left to sort your own career out?
Yeah, so I ended up signing with an agent. The guy I was originally with tried to set me up with a few different people. I spoke to one of the other lads who was at Swindon who had an agent, and he basically said to use sign with my guy. Ended up signing with him, and he managed to get me a couple of trials. He had one up Dumbarton. I remember playing really well that game as well. The manager of the team was actually reffing the game. Come up to me at the end of the game, said how well I'd played, and they'd be in touch. My agent rang me the day after and said he was really impressed with you. He wants you to come back in pre-season. So I was thinking, there you go, there's one door. And a couple of weeks after, I think they'd had somebody on loan the year before, and they ended up signing him in my position. Then I got a call saying, you're not going to be required for your pre-season training. They've just signed somebody else. So I was like, all right, okay. And I ended up training down Nuneaton. I knew Louis Malt, and Louis asked me if I wanted to go down there with him. I ended up going down there, training with him, got myself really fit. In the training sessions, felt brilliant, trained really well. And I just remember speaking to the manager, and he was just sort of offering me, like, they had a guy at the time who was 35 and he'd played at Scotland for like 4 or 5 appearances, and he was coming towards the end of his career. And the manager just said, like, basically, like, he's going to be the number one. You could be on like a pay-as-you-play kind of basis. He said, but you're not guaranteed to start. You're not guaranteed to be in the squad because we've got limited funds and all this. And I just remember thinking, like, this is no good. I need to be playing. Like, I'd rather just go. And I was getting to the point where it was just sort of, I've not played football I was a pro footballer, or I'd gone from being a pro footballer, and then I've not played for 18 months, not consistently anyway. So I was just like, I just want to go and play and enjoy it now. I remember speaking to my dad. I think he ended up playing for, I think I went to Kids Grove then. In the end, I just said, listen, I'll go play for them, get a few games, and then possibly look to message a few clubs in the future.
So yeah, you returned back home, as you mentioned there, for Kids Grove and later Chase Town and sort of step 4. Sorry. Was football now more of a hobby than a job? And how were you feeling towards the game after experiencing the highs of what you'd just been through to sort of the frustrations and the...
Yeah, it was definitely more. It was less serious. I remember my dad saying, he was the one who kept on trying to like push me, saying you've still got time, because I was still only about 24, something like that. And I was thinking that in my head, I remember thinking, now to make it, you've got to be well established now, or playing really, really high. And at the end of the day, I wasn't. I was playing at Kids Grove. They don't want players who haven't played for 18 months, and then, do you know what I mean? So I was thinking my chance was gone, and sort of I was falling out of love with it, to be honest, a little bit, because just like things hadn't gone my way. I just wanted to play. So I ended up coming back and just wanted to enjoy the football, and we ended up playing. Obviously, we had like a steady group of lads who were all nice guys at Kids Grove. Obviously, you've gone from one standard to another, but to be honest, I wasn't even playing right back. I was playing centre mid.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I've always played, really, and I absolutely loved it. I think we were about mid-table at the time, but I just remember playing and just absolutely loving it, being really fit. I was still fit from the pre-season with Nuneaton. And yeah, I ended up doing well at that level, and just said, like, I sort of accepted that this was the level I was just going to sort of play at. Maybe things weren't going to work out for me. So yeah, and that was my thoughts at the time.
So now you're a very successful personal trainer. Was that when it came into effect, when you moved back to Staffordshire, that you decided that was the career you wanted to go down?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I never say never. Like I remember I ended up getting a trial at Chester I was at Chase Town, and I was sort of just starting my personal training then, and so I had that thought in my head that, you know, if I get myself really fit, was it at Stafford Rangers? Anyway, I was at one of the teams, and I ended up going for a couple of weeks trials at Chester, and I ended up doing really well. And he just basically said, like, we want to come watch you in a game. And we ended up having like a couple of weeks where we didn't have a game, and a similar thing happened where I ended up getting injured just before one of the games. And Steve Burr was the manager, and he had to sign somebody else by the certain date or something. And basically, because he hadn't seen me, he just said, like, he couldn't sign me. Which is fair enough, but it was just sort of like, what do you do? It was sort of sod's law. I was like, oh, this is typical. I've seen this before. So yeah, PT was sort of, I've always enjoyed sort of helping people get fit, and, you know, people have asked me questions about sort of like football and things like that. I've always enjoyed sort of like helping them or telling them, or, you know, trying to steer them in the right direction, because we're all trying to do our best, aren't we? So, you know, we all need a little help now and again. And if I can help somebody to, you know, improve their life in a certain way, then yeah, I'd love it.
Do you still play now, Chris? And what does the future hold for you?
Yeah, well, coronavirus. Yeah, it's not really happening, is it? But no, I was playing for sort of Redgate just as with a few of my mates, which is obviously down the road. We had like a steady team at the start of the year. We were like top for a while, and but yeah, I was still sort of working like pretty long hours with like PT. I was up at like 5 a.m, then not getting in till sort of like 9:30, 10 at night. So couldn't train for, you know, my dad's saying like, why don't you go back to like Kidsgrove or Nantwich? But at the time, like I say, I was working all these hours and they wanted you to train. So, and I couldn't do it. So I just literally satisfying my little sort of need to play by just playing on the Saturdays. I had to drop down because most clubs aren't going to accept you just even at, you know, semi-pro level to not train and then just play. So yeah, I ended up dropping down, doing my PT on the side, and yeah, going from there.
It's quite a heart-rendering story in a way, is that you've enjoyed the game and been built up to something that, you know, what everybody aims for, and then unfortunately for you, you've seen the darker side of the game and I'm going to say the non-positive
demise.
You know, and I think a lot of football is about luck and chances, and I think for me, if your luck or your chances might have been different, we could, well, probably not be having this chat for a start, but we could be seeing you have gone on to bigger and you know, more consistent things.
Well, I do agree with that to some extent, but I also think like my mindset at the time, because probably a product of the environment as well, but because I knew sort of what level I wanted to be at, or I needed to be at to play, and then because you're taking a bit of a battering, you've ended up sort of lowering your standards, and then, you know, you don't perform at the highest levels. So I think it was like the mindset for me as well. Like, you get some players who take the knockbacks but still perform and think up here. They take that knockback and they still work up here, and those are the ones who end up making it. And I think it's just the little things ended up stopping doing like you get distracted, you get a career change, whatever, and you stop doing the things that take you to that next level. So if there was things that I could have done differently, like even at Swindon, things like nutrition, I know so much more about nutrition now, like performance-based nutrition, how I could have got more energy, how I could have performed better, fatigued less, been stronger, you know, just things like that. So I was more competitive all over the importance of sleep. Like, I used to probably get 6-7 hours a night. Other lads probably getting 8-9 hours, and it makes a difference over the course of a week, a month, 6 months. Those little 1%ers add up to something big, and over the course of all that time, you know, someone's gone from there to there, and he's that much ahead of you. Mm-hmm. You're still doing the same thing. She's doing all these little other things more consistently that are taking him that inch closer to being a better performer, better athlete. And in the end, it's things like that, you know, build you up mentally and build you up physically. And you have that sort of readiness as well. So when your opportunity does come, you know, you're ready to absolutely smash it. But I think a lot of it came down to sort of like mindset, and started to develop like a negative mindset, as you just said, like thinking, oh, this isn't going to work for me. And in sense now, if I had the chance to do it again, I'm thinking, right, fuck that. What can we do now? Like, what's the next step? How can I show them now? Videos, footage, you know, just loads of different things. You could probably literally get yourself, if you believe in yourself that much, you could probably literally get yourself a trial by messaging somebody 5,000 times until they give you a chance. Like, I genuinely believe that. Like, someone, they might even give you a trial just to prove that you're flipping no good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want it bad enough, I genuinely believe that you've got a good chance of getting your chance. So if there's any young kids out there watching, like, you've got to develop that sort of like bulletproof mindset, that you've got to have that willingness to sort of to go and keep improving every single day. As I said earlier about like Phil Neville with his kids, he's got that regimen, like the training, first thing in the morning, the nutrition, getting the things done that they need to do every single day without fail. Like the non-negotiables, like get them done. Your nutrition's on point, your gym's on point, you're fit as anything, and then that's 70% of the work done.
Yeah.
And you're giving yourself a good chance of then making a success of it.
That was leading me nicely into my sort of last question before we go to the quick fire questions. Is what advice would you give to youngsters out there with a heart of a footballer? So I think you've nailed it.
Just record that up a bit, replay that up a bit.
But again, look, I think it's a great insight because you've seen the highs and lows, and with a bit of hindsight now, if you would, as you mentioned there, to have your time again, you would know what was needed. And I think for anybody listening who wants a career in the game, you've got to have those non-negotiables. You mentioned that bulletproof mindset of that you're going to be ready in all aspects. When
sacrifices, like I remember being sort of like 16, 17, 18, you get your head turned by girls, you end up going uptown with your mates, getting slaughtered all the time, and you're thinking, in one sense, this is loads of fun, but how serious is it towards how is it going to impact you doing well in football? You might not even make it as a pro at the Prem, but you could play and earn good money at the conference level, even the league below or whatever. That might be your limit, but without doing all the steps, you don't give yourself that chance to get up there.
And again, I think you mentioned him earlier in Louis Moult, is that if you look at the career that he's had, and I may lean on you to get him as a guest, but if you look at where he was released at Stoke, down at Nuneaton, and then now playing his trade with Preston, there's never no way out, if that makes sense. There's always a way that you can achieve it, and I think if we spoke to Louis, he'd probably speak about that mindset. Yeah,
I think so. With some players as well, like say they've got that bulletproof mindset. Like I always think of like Roger Federer. Like, have you seen him when he loses a point? He's not bothered. Like, just no reaction. Like it goes over his head. Like he's smooth as anything into, you know what I mean? He's cool as ice, and he doesn't take if he's playing really well, he doesn't get like too carried away. If he's playing really crap, he doesn't get too carried away. He's still at that level, and I think that's the kind of sort of mindset you've got to have. You've still got to have that drive and everything, but if you've got that sort of leveled mindset where the highs aren't too high, the lows aren't too low, you can progress. I mean, and I think because it doesn't matter what comes at you then.
Yeah,
you're still going to be sort of mentally in that good place. And I think that's the hard bit. You probably do need good people around you. You need to sort of have good self-belief, and obviously you've got to have sort of that drive within you to keep pushing but not get too carried away. So, yeah.
Superb advice, and I think anybody listening back will take a lot from that. I'm very conscious that I've had you on a Sunday night for over an hour now, and you're
right.
This is a chance to make you feel a little bit more uncomfortable if you haven't.
Yeah.
Quick 5 questions.
Oh, good.
Best manager or coach played under?
No, it's got to be Di Canio. But I'm going to say it now. Nige Dealey, top man, top player. Used to play with us as well at the college level, and he used to absolutely take the mick out of the lads. Like, with ability wise, he was brilliant. So Paolo, and then Nige Dealey.
Very high praise. Best friend in football or the fitness industry?
Best friend in football or the fitness industry? I don't know. I've got a few good mates. We'll go Zoe. She's going to be a PT, so she's probably my best mate.
Nice little thing there. Who's been your toughest opponent?
Toughest opponent? Can he be in the same team?
Yeah.
Right, so when you're training against them?
Yeah.
Oh, Aidan Flint absolutely nailed me one game, and I couldn't walk for about a week. One of the training sessions.
Best player played with?
Matt Ritchie.
Superb. Best moment in football to date?
Making my debut for Swindon. There was like 12,000 people there. That was pretty good. Celebrating with the lads when they won the league. I didn't feel a part of it as such, but that was a good experience. Yeah.
Biggest wow moment?
Watching Paolo Di Canio sing "Dancing on the Moonlight" in front of all the fans at at the after party. that was pretty wow.
I'm sure there's some story behind that as well.
Yeah.
Biggest role model or influence?
Probably my dad. Yeah, he was sort of always like, had the self-belief and wanted to push me, and always wanted me to do well and wanted me to, probably my biggest fan sort of thing. So yeah, probably my dad.
This is probably the most difficult one, bud. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Ooh, just 3? Don't know. Hardworking, passionate, and easygoing.
Some would argue that's 5 words, but I'll let you off with
that.
And finally, mate, is there anybody you would recommend or like to hear on the podcast?
Yeah, I'll try and speak to him if I can. There was a lad who won the competition the year. There's 2 lads actually. The year after me, one called Jack Sherritt, who used to play in our college team the year we won the cup, national cup. Brilliant player. Not sure where he's at now. And there was another lad. There was two winners that year. One called Caden Jackson, who's now playing for Ipswich Town. So I'll speak to him, mate. See if I can get him on for you.
No, that'd be brilliant, mate. I'd appreciate that. You'll be glad to know it's the end of the quickfire questions, mate. And
yeah, wicked
episode. I just want to say sort of thank you for your time. And I know you're a busy man, and probably to talk about something that was quite possibly the highest moment in your career as a footballer, and ultimately the lowest. Thank you for being so open and honest and sharing your experiences, really. And I just want to say, good luck in everything that you do, and hopefully within the next month we're out of lockdown 3 and back doing what you do best and what you love.
Anytime, mate. Cheers, appreciate it. It's nice to share some of the experiences. So hopefully, if anybody's watching and you can take a couple of nuggets from that, then that'll be good.
No, I'm sure they will. Superb. Thank you, Chris.
Wicked. Cheers, bud. Ciao, mate.
Hello, we're Tile Central UK, local tile stockist here on Trentham Trade Park, Stanley Matthews Way. Our opening hours are 8 till 5 in the week and Saturdays till 12.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoy the content that we're trying to bring to you. Don't forget, new episodes will be released every Monday. You can find us on the iTunes Store, Spotify, and if you want to see the video, you can see it on our YouTube channel, PCT Football Coaching.